Hello, it's your financial friend Maggie. Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast. Hey, Liz.
Hi, good morning. Oh my gosh, look at your beautiful smiling face. I am so excited to start my day with you.
Yeah. I mean, I won't return this conversation.
No way. No receipt needed. I'm committed.
No receipt needed. I got the receipts. That reminds me of all this stuff in Bachelor in Paradise of like, I got the receipts and I deaded it. You know, we're gonna dead the topic of returns today. You're gonna feel so good about it.
You're gonna feel like you are a return queen or king or non-binary royalty.
Yes, and if you want to know what you need the receipts for, welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast. This is a personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Every week I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. Today we have co-host Liz here.
That's me.
That's you. And we're going to talk about like all things returns, right? Like we've all bought stuff we regret. We've all bought stuff that just sort of sits around and we never use it.
Yeah.
And you got to take that stuff back, right? We will talk about every angle you could imagine and more because that's just how we do it. To make returns easier, understand your rights, give you a little returns pep talk, understand the environmental impact of returns. I think this is going to be like a masterclass in returns.
I think it's going to be, we don't know, right? Because we're just starting now.
It's going to be something.
But I bet 45 minutes-ish from now, we're going to be like, that was such a good episode. And here's why I think that. Because you and I have had like passionate, non-recorded conversations about this. We started talking about this because I sent you a long voice note on my way home from the mall about doing returns.
From Nordstrom. Yeah. You were doing a volume of returns of which I've never done, maybe like a dollar volume.
Impressive. It was a high level. I'm going pro.
I mean, I return like rotten peaches and you return like, $1,000 gowns. Different lives we live, That makes you sound really fancy.
So fancy. No, I'm returning them because I can't afford them. No.
I know, right.
Okay. Why is it important to know about returns, Maggie?
Because I think this is a money topic, right? And when you don't return something that didn't work for you, that you no longer want, that you have buyer's remorse about, etc., like it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of buying something, right? The ways that you can get money back in your wallet and just like live more intentionally is to return something sometimes because it's just, I think too many people like back off the return process because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of that. Like I'm like double down and like know your rights and also just do the right thing, right? Like we'll talk about that a lot, but I'm just, returns are money. That's money that you could get back in your wallet, in your savings account.
It's like a double waste because if you bought something, you don't use it, you wasted the money and now a thing is just sitting in your house that you don't need. Those are two things I don't like.
Yeah, you got to like walk past it every day and it's going to taunt you and be like, you shouldn't have bought me.
I know.
Shouldn't have bought me. You don't use me. You don't like me. You shouldn't have bought me.
That's exactly what it says. Well, you put a statistic in the show notes. 44% of shoppers report that they've missed the return window for something they meant to send back. I think that seems low to me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's people that like formally missed a return window.
Yeah.
I think other people just forget. They don't even, they didn't even know they missed the window to be able to answer this survey.
I think like 100% of us either missed the window or by miss the window, I mean, it's still sitting in the garage.
Yeah. I'm pretty like good about returns in case you can't imagine that.
I've heard, and I think you're going to give us some good illustrations.
I'm going to wow you guys with some return stories today.
Okay.
I mean, and I officially would like to take the crown for returning some of the craziest things. Maybe one of the most odd things that one might think is not returnable, but it is. And I'm just going to leave you with that cliffhanger.
That's true. I can't wait.
I think you know what it is.
I mean, I do because I've seen the show notes, but not everybody knows.
Yeah.
Do you, like, I feel like you're pretty bullish about it now, but do you still miss stuff sometimes? Like, do you just not return stuff because it ends up on, I have what's called the return chair in my house. And sometimes stuff just sits there
Yeah, I have a lot of return locations, which is one of the tips we'll share at the end. It's good to have a return chair, like you're saying, one place. I'd say I'm like, 90%. Yeah, 10% slips through the cracks and I sort of lose my motivation or energy, or I'm like, oh, one of the kids, somebody else will use this, or I'll give it to somebody or something like that. But I rarely will just hang on to the item. It's going to go somewhere. It's going to move on to another life if not, if it's not getting returned.
I would say I don't think I'm as good at returns as you are, but I will sometimes just give something away. Like I'll put it in a free in a neighborhood group or something because I mentally and emotionally do not have the bandwidth to try to return it.
On that note, sometimes I see on our like neighborhood parent exchange, our Facebook group, people will post a lot of stuff for sale. That's like 90% what it's used for. And people will post something that's like new with tags that they're like, oh, this cost me $100. I'm selling it for $50 because I don't feel like returning it. And now maybe they actually can't for whatever reason, but I'm always like, why would you could get $100. Why are you going to take $50? Like,
no, that's so relatable though, because you have to, you either have to go online and do something and like print out a thing and then find a box and find some tape and then put it in your car and then remember to go to the thing. Like I don't even have a printer. I have to go to the library to like print out.
Yeah. I used to be like that, but now I have a printer.
Well, I think it's because I wonder if the difference is because you're early retired.
Yeah. I bought a printer after I left work for sure. 100%. I think I bought it during COVID.
Exactly. Yeah. So I either have to go to the library or I have to wait until Wednesday when I go into the office and then ask someone in IT to remind me how to print. And it's such a hassle.
So I actually think if you listen to this episode, specifically at the end, we're going to give you all some very actionable tips. All of that won't feel as stressful because we're going to like give you things that you should think about when you buy stuff so that you're more prepared when it comes time to return.
This is going to be like a Maggie teaching me in real time. Like often I think we come to an episode and we both maybe have some wisdom to share, but I think this will be more you giving me a pep talk.
I'm going to give you a pep talk.
Exactly.
Because you know this stuff. You just need to like for $50, you wouldn't go do all those things you just named.
It's not, I mean, that's not how the math works in my head. It's not like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, time is money and you're doing the right kind of math.
I don't know.
And I don't have a job, so.
I just get so tired. I do love when you return things that when I do actually do it because it feels like free money. Like the joy of it, of being like, oh my gosh, I just got, my return stories pale in comparison to yours, but one I was proud of.
It's not a competition, right? There's no award for the best return stuff.
I don't.
But if there was, I'm going to win it today.
You're totally going to win. But I bought a Christmas wreath from Costco and then I pulled it out the next year and it stopped working. Like it just wouldn't, it had lights in it and it wouldn't, so it's still a wreath. I mean, it still worked as a wreath because it was still a circle that you could hang on the door, but it didn't light up. And we had two, so I needed it to light up because otherwise it wouldn't match the other one.
Symmetry.
Exactly. And I took it back to Costco, but especially in my head, because I'd bought it a year ago, in my mind, I was like, oh, it's just $50 for free that I get to have now.
Yeah. Did you at all question, like, it's been a year, should I really take this back? Or were you like, it's Costco?
Oh, no, I had major social anxiety. I was like, they're going to scold me. But of course they didn't. They were very nice about it.
Every time I do a return, I'm always like, often I'm with Greg, like we're running errands together.
I know exactly. I like practice what I'm going to say in my head.
Well, no, I'm always like, Greg, I'll do it. Because he's like, I can't return that, And I'm like, Greg, you could totally return this. Let's go. I'm going to do it. I'll take the lead. I'm like, you just stand here and look pretty.
That's hilarious. He does look pretty.
He's very handsome. Yeah, I've returned like a lot of things in the past couple weeks. Like I've just sort of been trying to like get things done in my life more so than normal.
That's great.
And it almost, in addition to like free money, like you said, it feels like I'm just like checking something off my to-do list, and I'm getting something out. It's like giving something away or donating something. You're just like, you've moved. It feels productive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it feels good.
It gives you almost the same
a level of
like brain fireworks as buying something.
It's better. It's like better brain fireworks than buying something because you realize often that like, often for me, it's like, not always, but maybe 50% of my returns are like a bad decision I feel like I made.
So you're
regrettable.
You're atoning.
Yes, I'm atoning for my sins, my shopping sins, and feels good, I got the the priest gave me 3 Hail Marys. I don't know how that works.
It does feel good because you take something in and then, so you have something out of your house and you got money back and you check something off your list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the triple thret of an HSA.
Right.
It's as exciting as an HSA, don't you think?
I think this is your HSA. I think do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think you have the same passion for returns as I have for HSAs.
Yeah. Let's talk about what you need to do when you buy things so that you are prepared to be able to return it.
Ready.
And you might think, you're ready. And you might think like, oh, no, I shouldn't buy something with the assumption that I'm going to return it. But yeah, you should. Like, let's if you want to be a, what do we call it? Like a conscientious consumer?
Discerning customer.
A discerning customer would do these things, okay?
Right,
so let's talk about what
think about
discerning
it ahead of
customers
time
do.
because you want to, exactly.
Yeah.
Like all these things you do ahead of time, make sure it's kind of like having like a prenup or something. It just, you're assuming that you're not going to get divorced. You're assuming that you're not going to
assume the worst.
Return.
Yeah.
But why don't you set future you up for success just in case?
Exactly.
Be kind to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I like it. It's like a prenup for all your purchases.
It's like a prenup.
I would start with, I primarily try to shop places where I know I can easily make a return. Whether that's stores, brands, etc. And so Costco's a good example, right? Of that wreath you bought. Like when you bought that wreath, you knew if it didn't work a year later, you'd have no problem returning it.
Yeah, I think Costco is a good example of a place that has really generous return policies. I actually wonder how long they're going to keep that because I keep seeing little news interest stories about people. I was there returning, what was I returning? Oh, I returned an office chair recently, which I was proud of myself. Do you know what I think? I think moving from a larger home into a smaller home has made me a little bit better about returns lately because I just don't have a lot of space.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's in my face.
You don't have like a whole room you can hide your returns
I don't have a basement that I could just throw this office chair that I don't want to use in. But I returned an office chair. I bought it. It wasn't comfortable. And when I was in line to return my office chair, there was a guy returning an air conditioning unit. And it was September, right? And so I thought, did you just buy this for the summer and then you return it? And then people have returned like the rotisserie chicken all eaten. They just like bring back the bones or they return like...
What's the rationale on that? They didn't like the way it tasted, but they still ate it all anyways?
I guess. Yeah.
They didn't realize till the end that it was bad.
Or a ratty mattress from 10 years ago or something. So Costco has a good return policy, but they are one, I would say that I worry about like what they do with the returns. I think a lot of the returns just get thrown away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that too. So Costco, like REI has a great return policy. Target has a good return policy. Amazon's pretty easy. I know a lot of people have, various views on shopping at like Target, Amazon, et cetera, but they have good return policies.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is like think up front to buy from companies that you know and trust and that are going to be reasonable to deal with if you have an issue. And I'd say all of this is, should be on a spectrum of like how expensive the product is, right? If you're buying some like $2 thing, you don't need to think about where you're buying it from necessarily because the likelihood of you needing to return it is low. But just think about where you're buying stuff from.
Right. Well, yes, and the company's return policy is good to know and knowing what their track record with what they do with returns are. So again, Costco's a great one. Although I love Costco. I don't know why I'm putting so many caveats on this because I love Costco, period. No asterisk. How do you star? No star.
Asterisk?
No footnotes. And I read too that one of the reasons Costco has that super generous return policy is because they know statistically that if you are someone who returns something, you are someone who is more likely to spend money in their store because it makes you, when I'm at Costco, I might buy something like that, that office chair. I was like, well, I'll just buy it. And then if I don't like it, I can definitely return it. Right. But you're going to keep 80% of the stuff that you buy. But if you have that lower bar of friction to get there, anyways.
But once more people listen to this podcast, companies like Costco might need to rethink that.
I actually would be okay if they told people they couldn't return air conditioners. I don't know. It feels sketchy. That just makes everything more expensive for the rest of us. But what I was actually going to say is the second piece of it, I think, is also think about where you're buying, think about what their return policy is and what their record is on responsibly using those returns. So Patagonia, REI, they tend to want to repair, they'll recycle.
Yeah.
Nordstrom isn't, they have really generous returns, but they actually they issue as part of their impact report, how much they keep out of the landfill. So I'd be more likely to return something to Nordstrom because I think they're more likely to treat it responsibly than a department store that doesn't do that. Even at Warby Parker the other day, they were like, oh, just order these, and if you don't like it, you can return it. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it then? And they said, oh, no, we'll reuse the frames. We don't toss them. Like, we will sell them to someone else.
Oh, that's nice. I thought they were going to say they like donate them to people in need. Like, we'll resell them. We'll make more money off you. So 2 things. Well, on that point, Liz, you can Google companies that have strong, like, environmentally responsible return approaches. And I just did it. And like, Patagonia, H&M has like a collection where they do unwanted textiles, Allbirds. There's even IKEA. There's certain companies that have, some better approaches to how to deal with this wasted stuff. And then some of the times, keep in mind, when you're returning something and you haven't touched it and it's still got the tags on it, it goes right back on the shelf, right? So it's really only something that you use and were unhappy with that you need to think about the environmental impact of normally.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think a lot of textiles too, even if you didn't wear it, a lot of things are just so inexpensive. It's cheaper to just chuck it than to try to restock it.
And it depends what the company is. Like when you walk back in Target, often they're restocking that, right?
Yeah, exactly. If they can just put it right on the shelf, right? If the path of travel, I guess, is short, if someone at Target can just walk it 10 feet away and put it on the shelf, versus if you bought it online, it's got to get shipped back, it's got to get sorted. So there was this great article in The Atlantic a few years ago, and they talked all about like the cycle of when you return something. Does it go in the landfill? Does it get liquidated? Which is, there are these people who go to these warehouses and will just buy a pallet of random grab bag of returns. But the salient detail that stuck out to me is they interviewed this guy who works in one of those return processing centers that's not even run by the retailer. It's like multiple retailers use the same company to just try to manage their returns. And they go, yeah, some guy named Mike has to sniff your sweatpants. When you return those sweats, someone's like, are these okay? Like someone has to
just double check that they're not sweaty.
Exactly, to like stick their nose in it and make sure that you're not returning something that's
Do you think
gross.
He's one of those people who has like a special nose, like the way they do for like cheese and wine and stuff? Or do you think it's just like the average sniffer?
I am guessing that job is not one that requires a specialized skill set. And that it probably doesn't pay that well. He probably just has a regular nose, I think.
And look, everybody talking about jobs being outsourced to AI, I'd just like to say, like, that's a hard one to outsource.
Sniffer. Exactly.
Okay.
Anyways.
So I'm going to move us along because you have this way of getting off track,
Yep, that's true. Together we find all, you could say we get off track, or you could say that we find new and interesting angles for topics.
We cover it all. Yeah, we're very thorough,
Yeah. Okay, so check the store. So we've covered one dotted point.
Check the store.
Think about what store you buy from.
We built into that, like, read the return policy, understand, like, especially when you buy something online, like, is there a restocking fee on the refund? Is it just simple refunds? Do you have to have professional installation to make the warranty valid? And all of this, I'd say, you should do as much research as the cost of the purchase is, right? So if this is a small thing, don't sweat it. If it's a big, expensive purchase, like put a couple minutes into reading the return policy. You can Google. It's not that hard often. You can, ask the company, whatever. You can read reviews. You can, there's a lot of things you can do to understand how the company is going to kind of hold up their end of the consumer promise if that product doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, that's a good point on the more expensive things. I bought a new refrigerator recently, and the same refrigerator was available at a couple different retailers. And I went with Costco specifically because I felt like if it broke, if something went wrong, they would probably be the easiest ones to deal with.
Yeah. So I was recently in an Ace Hardware buying a bunch of stuff. And there was this guy that like sort of walked in and interrupted me during my checkout process. Well, he interrupted the salesperson, which was fine. I was not in a hurry. And he was like asking about this toilet stopper and was like, it said it lasts for 10 years. It's been like 8 years. He took it out of his toilet. And the lady was like, that's a manufacturer warranty also. And then so finally she sort of sends him home to like look into the manufacturer 10-year warranty, which is not an Ace Hardware warranty.
Yeah. Woof.
And she was like looking at me and she's like, man, who takes a part out of their toilet and brings it back 8 years later? And I was sort of like, that's
you're like, I would have done that.
I would have. You're like, I don't know. Actually, I'll say he went a step beyond what I would do. Because I think that was like a $10 part. I would definitely have just bought a new part.
And you wouldn't have interrupted
like,
a nice lady trying to do her business.
I wouldn't
at
have.
Ace
And I was
Hardware.
holding these like heavy poles too. I wasn't just standing there hanging out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, holding heavy poles. Are you okay?
Yeah. Tough. I'm fine. Thanks. I appreciate you checking in. I'm fine. You know, it was tough, but I'll get through it.
Okay.
Okay.
You had what I thought was a slightly controversial take when I saw this in the show notes. Would you ever buy something that you couldn't return?
Yeah, I would.
Oh.
Did I say I wouldn't?
I'd go so far as to say don't buy things you can't return.
Well, okay. That's my point about, you know, it's not, there's exceptions to that rule.
Obviously, like gum.
Right? Yeah, but I will say, you know, when I'm looking at something, again, back to like what it cost me, right? If I'm looking at something that cost a few $100s and there's a company that has a generous return policy and there's one that doesn't and has no clear guarantee or whatever else, then no, I won't buy from the company where I don't have any, you know, repercussions if this thing doesn't work out. And I'll give you like an example, okay? Because I am a sucker, believe it or not, for like some Instagram ads. I go through like points in my life where I'm just like I'm less of a discerning customer than other times. And I also have mosquitoes love me. I just don't know another way to say it, but they love me.
Because you're so sweet.
That's what my dad used to say when I was a kid. They like everybody else can be standing around and like I'm attacked and everyone else is fine. So when I see an ad targeted at me for some sort of, you know, something that kills mosquitoes, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
So when I see something, add to cart, send me, you know, overnight it. So like this past summer, or just a few months ago before the summer, I bought this thing called TNT mosquito treatment or something. And TNT stands for like tougher than Tom. It's like, I don't know, whatever the company's name is. Cool. It was not tougher than Tom. I don't know who Tom is, but it's not tougher than him.
Maybe Tom's not that tough.
It did not kill the mosquitoes. Yeah. And so I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't see that they had a money-back guarantee.
Right.
And I'll tell you
love a money-back guarantee. Maggie,
I love
if you want to sell something to Maggie Tucker, first make an Instagram ad.
Yeah.
Secondly, add a money-back guarantee. Third,
honor that.
Oh, yeah.
Honor that money-back guarantee because not everybody does, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay?
But also, fourth, if you want to sell to Maggie, this is what I've learned over the last couple of years. No high-pressure sales. No, like, limited time offer. You have to buy it today.
I don't like that.
Even on a website when they're like, oh, limited offer ends in 20 minutes. I think, that's not real. I can come back to this website in 3 hours. It's still going to be fine.
Not real. My kids will come to me and she'll be like, well, no, it's going to go away. I was like, that is marketing. Don't believe that.
Fake
that
news.
That is a lie. They are lying to you. And yeah, so I'm teaching my kids the right way. I also I know Amazon's controversial, right? and also just some people for various reasons, but also just some people are trying to buy less crap and don't want the, you know, instant satisfaction of things.
Some people
arriving the next morning.
It's me.
Well, not just you, know, a lot of people, right? Andrew's trying to kick himself off. I mean, for Andrew's reasons are even different than yours.
Yeah.
But I'm in a phase of my life where I'm really digging that, all of a sudden I realize I need something for the volleyball team party and it'll be here at 4 a.m. tomorrow. It's very meaningful to my quality of life lately. So I actually shout out to someone that came to the very first Inside Out Money meetup that I ever did in Scottsdale, Arizona when Greg and I were on vacation. And she actually worked in, I didn't even know this was a title, but I loved it. She worked in reverse logistics at Amazon. That's what they called it. And I was like, wait, is that what y'all call returns? And she was like, yeah. And so I thought that was really cool. And I was telling various stories of how I was I ordered a scale from Amazon and there was someone else, instead of the new scale I ordered, there was the box of the new scale, but it was an old, dirty, crusty, used scale that looked like it had been on someone's bathroom floor for 10 years. Yeah. It was broken. It was whatever. And so Amazon has all sorts of Fraud with returns, and so do many companies. It's a big issue. We were having a conversation about it. There's people who work in that department and do nothing but that. But so I do know that when you're doing returns with a company like Amazon, they trust you on a lot of things until you burn them enough times. And then I think eventually you get flagged as a bad returner where I reported that scale thing and I was how do they even know that I'm not the one that did that?
Yeah.
You know?
You have like a return credit score kind of with.
I think you have some sort of a return credit score with big companies like an Amazon, and they trust you until they don't, which is how they should do it,
and
right?
Then you get
But it
blacklisted.
is frustrating. Yeah, I don't know what happens to you then, but it is frustrating that people take advantage of those processes. And to be clear, we're suggesting that you return things in the right way when it's the right.
For a good reason. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, in an honest and ethical way.
Yeah, don't buy a new scale and then try to ship them back your old gross one.
Yes. And on the same front, I think there's a lot of things you can do to be more thoughtful about the wastefulness of returns, from the shipping to where they're going to go to all that, which is to like shop more intentionally. So I know we've all done things where, we order 5 sizes of things because we don't want to think too hard. Like, I don't want to get out the measurement tape and actually measure what size, like look at the size chart and measure myself. I'm just like, oh, I'll just order 2 and return 1. That'll be easy. I do think it's good for us to think twice about that habit and not do that if we don't need to, right? Like, take a minute to go measure yourself and read the size chart and just order the size that you think you are.
Well, and that does 2 things, because 1, it means you're less likely to have to make a return. Because if you buy 2 sizes, then you're 100% chance you need to make a return, because at least one of them.
And that wastes your time and energy.
Right. And it's also, there's a good chance that return ends up in a landfill and it never actually gets resold to someone else. And there's way too much textile waste. Okay. On the other side, though, like on the flip side, one of my strategies for returns is to go the full opposite direction and order enough that a return is 100,000 million% going to be worth your time. And so, for example, my sister is...
Go big or go home.
Exactly.
Right? That's what you mean?
My sister is getting married in a couple weeks, and I am her maid of honor, and I get to pick out my own dress. And I have had half the evening wear department from Nordstrom on my living room floor, because I think I ordered every navy blue gown that they had. And it was around $8,000 or $9,000 worth of gowns.
Yeah.
Because I know that then I'm going to return it. Like, if I just bought...
That's some confidence in the return process. Like, you're confident.
I did.
Oh
my
gosh. You're not going to have any issues.
I got so nervous. I mean, I was reading the policy because I knew that these were special occasion gowns. The return policy is a little bit different. It's usually just that you can't take the tag off because, of course, they don't want you to buy it and then wear it to an event and then return it. But I also knew that I wasn't just going to let it slide. I was super motivated to make those returns and not let them sit here because I wanted my thousands and thousands of dollars back. But can I tell you, I went to... I'm sorry, this is a tangent. But so I ordered these all from Nordstrom.com, and then I wanted to return them to Nordstrom rack just because it was on my way to go somewhere else. And I got to the counter and I was returning, and I said, hey, can you help me with these returns? I think I can return stuff here. I bought it on Nordstrom.com. And she said, yeah, of course. And she pulls these out and she goes, okay, so this one I can return. And I was like, oh my gosh, can I not return all of it? Oh my God, I have like $4,000 worth of gowns I can't return. But she was just saying that some of them had to be returned to a Nordstrom store, and not everything you buy on Nordstrom.com can be returned to a Nordstrom rack. But my heart skipped a beat because I thought
for a minute you thought you might be,
But I had done.
It's a good thing your partner just got a new job, right?
I know. I can afford.
You're going to be stuck with $4,000 in dresses.
But I wasn't. I returned them all, and it was fine. But I was nervous. Also, some of these gowns were expensive, and I know that they're not going to trash them when I return them.
Yeah. They're going to put them back on. Yeah. And you didn't mess with them. Like, they're in good shape.
Exactly.
They were not literally on your living room floor, right?
Well, they were in a box on the living room floor.
Okay.
They were inside of a box. They were in the plastic in a box. Yes. Okay. No. I wasn't like letting my dog use them as a bed. Okay. Before we get into the basics of prepping for returns, which is like, keep the packaging, tags, receipts, one of my pro tips is that there are certain stores where when you do online pickup, like Target, Amazon, Sam's, you actually don't have to interact with anyone to return bad produce. How does that work? There's just
there's a button, and again, I think it's probably the reverse logistics piece at Amazon where if you abuse this, I've never abused it. I do it every now and then when I legit get a terrible rotten, I've gotten a thing of oranges where they're all rotten in the middle. And you just hit return button and it like takes you through, you write about it, and it like is like, "Okay, we'll process your return. Your $8 is going back to your card."
So sorry, is it a refund or is it a return? Like, do you have to bring the oranges back?
It's a refund. No, they don't want the food when it's food. This only works with food. I
was so confused. I was like, wait, so you just drive up and you just leave the oranges on the curb?
But what's annoying is when you buy, oranges in person at Sam's and don't do a store pickup, you have to walk in the store and return those oranges, which you better believe I will do.
I see.
If they're actually bad.
You buy it and you go through the checkout process, got it. But if you order it online, you can just report that it was bad and then they'll refund you.
Because you didn't get to see it. I think they assume like, well, if you're at the store, you got to see it yourself first. But when they pick it out for you and they mess it up, then the return process is actually, so as much as I sometimes don't trust produce being like picked for me, I'm like, well, the return process is actually very easy.
I wish I have bought some bad produce lately. I get really excited about peaches and I'll just buy them no matter what. And I roll the dice. I had like $20 of bad peaches the other day.
Greg just bit into a peach and was like, this is disgusting. Then he brings it over to me and is like, take a bite. And I was like, no, dude, you just told me it was and we're practicing this mantra in my house, which is my body is not a trash can.
Oh.
Which I heard in a podcast somewhere because, I will eat like all sorts of leftovers and like things and so my kids now even say it to me. They're like, your body is not a trash can. Like you can throw that away. You don't have to eat it just because you hate wasting things.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good.
And so I'm like, my body is not a trash can. And quick anecdote about my body not being a trash can, Liz. I just went to the dermatologist.
It's not.
I just went to the dermatologist with like an issue and they were like, well, what kind of soap are you using? And I was like, I'm like working through a backlog of some like vintage soaps. One of which is a soap that my mom was like getting rid of. It was probably like a nice Crabtree and Evelyn soap, but it was from like the 90s. And she was like, quit doing that. And I thought, my body is not a trash can.
My skin is not a trash can. My belly is not a trash can. Yes. I like it. I like it. That's interesting. That's so interesting. I feel like one of the a hallmark of Maggie Tucker is that you love to eat the random leftovers from the fridge.
I do, and I will
That's
when
how you
they're
early retired.
But I will eat things that are borderline questionable. But I wouldn't. But when Greg tried to give me this peach that's bad, I was like, dude, what do I look like? A trash can? I'm not taking you just told me the peach is bad. I believe you.
Yeah,
like, let's return them.
I could have used that mantra last night. Long story. Well,
what'd you do last night?
I went out for dinner and then we went for ice cream and I didn't really want ice cream because I was really full, but I didn't want to, I was like just with one other person. And so I didn't want to be antisocial. So I ordered like a kid's and I even asked, I was like, can you just give me like the small, like don't even, I want like half of a kid's. And then I was still eating it and I was like, I'm so full. And I managed to throw away the very end, but I just like mentally had a hard time throwing it away.
Yeah.
But my body is not a trash can. Also, it was very delicious ice cream, even if I wasn't hungry, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There's no segue from that. But the final thing I think is the number one thing and like most obvious thing is when you get something, keep the packaging, the tags, the receipts. It is like a simple but critical habit. I always do it. I sort of like assume I'm going to return something.
Yeah.
And I keep the box. I'll even take boxes and like go put them in like the storage room just to have them for a couple months in case something goes bad with something. And my kids are the opposite. They'll like open something, rip all the and I'm like, whoa. You haven't even tried this thing on yet.
I know.
Kid. Like, so I've really had to teach them, like, you keep the packaging. I want it all organized. Don't hand me a like half-used shirt that you ripped everything off of. And I'm like, well, it's like been on their floor for 2 weeks.
Half?
And Kate will be like, can you return this? And I'm like, no, I can't return this with like a straight face. No.
Yeah.
Where's the other half? You're funny.
Yeah, that makes sense. I am with you on that. I'm not usually very good at that, but I bought an adapter for my car so I could try to charge my car at Tesla stations. And my partner is laughing at me because I put it in the car. I pulled it out of the box and it was in a little styrofoam thing. And then I put the little styrofoam thing back on to put it in the car. And we were just laughing like, why does this thing live in its own house? Like, why does it have its little styrofoam house it lives in? And I said, I don't know. It was like $200. I don't want it to get messed up. I don't want it to get dust in it. But then it didn't work and we actually have to return it.
See? Good thing you kept the styrofoam house.
And it was interesting though too, because I was feeling pretty good about returning it because when I got it, I could tell that it had been returned before.
Oh.
Because I think people probably just often, they buy the wrong adapter or I was Anyways.
That always makes me feel icky when I'm like, whoa. Why did this get returned before?
Well, see, that's interesting. Well, okay. I mean, I could tell it had been returned because of the way the box was taped, right? Like it just looked like it had some clear packing tape. It didn't look used or gross or weird or anything.
The styrofoam house looked lived in.
No, it looked pristine. But Maggie, if you're gonna be a strong proponent for people returning, I think we all have to be comfortable too purchasing.
You're right.
That's
right. You're right.
I bought I actually think
Touche.
To give Amazon, I'm trying to spend less on Amazon. We could do I could talk about that for an hour, but I don't hate Amazon. I'm just trying to spread my dollars into the economy in other places. Is the short version.
I got you.
But I wanted something the other day and I couldn't find it used. I've been shop. It's actually these lights that you can see behind me.
Oh, your sconces. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen them on the gram.
Yeah. I couldn't find them on Facebook Marketplace. I couldn't find the ones I wanted, but Amazon sold them used, and I'm assuming that these were returns. And so they were selling them to me at maybe 30% off or something because I was willing to take something that had been opened and used. And that seems, I was stoked. I was like, oh, if Amazon does more of this, I will come back and spend more dollars here because this is such a good way to do it.
I see that a lot. And I always I never do it actually, but it's, I should think more about it.
Oh,
but
really?
I see that button all the time.
Oh my gosh.
All the time.
I think I got like $100 off an air conditioning unit once. I love that option. Nice. I've bought all my Kindles used from them or from Facebook. But anyways, I think we got to be like good people, right? Like we return responsibly and then other people can have our returns. Like
it's a little hypocritical for me to be like, oh, I don't want, I'll return it, but I don't want, yes.
I mean, I'm not saying you should have kept that gross bathroom scale. No way. But I'm okay if I was.
Yeah, I shouldn't not keep something just because I'm like, ooh, it looks like the tape is different than the original tape, right? But everything else looks fine inside. Yes, that would be a little too discerning of a customer,
A critical customer. We're just discerning. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to move us along. Because that's what I do around here, okay?
I am tangenty today. I appreciate you. Good Liz management.
Okay, so now that's that we both get we have the same salary.
We do have the same
we make the same amount of money from this. So that was like all the stuff you should do to prep for like assuming you might need to return something. But let's talk about the actual return trip and like making it happen, okay? My number one piece of advice
Get on
is don't
your
be afraid.
Feet, go on and
I think
make
people,
it happen.
Is that the lyrics? Does it say "Don't be afraid" or part of the lyrics of that? Oh, I just know that was just a good.
Oh yeah, it's not "Don't be afraid." I guess get on your feet, go on and make. I was reading the notes where you said the return trip, making it happen, and I was like, make it happen.
Oh.
I was in my own head there.
That.
Sorry.
Like, either way, like get on your feet. I like it. It worked.
Yeah.
It was like a build on.
Honestly, it works for a lot of things.
And we got to
sing
in every episode.
Ahead of her time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get on my feet and make some things happen when we're done with this podcast.
Same.
Okay. On this note, so you might think like, oh, I couldn't return that. Yeah. But if it is like fair and I'd say like ethical, like ask yourself, and I'll give you some examples, okay? First off, my advice would be just like, don't be afraid and ask, right? It can't hurt to try.
Right.
And again, if you feel good that like it's a reasonable ask, but I've returned some crazy things. I'm going to give you a couple examples. And look, I put a thing on Instagram last night, Liz, and I was like, what's the craziest thing you've ever returned? I didn't get what I consider crazy things. So I was like, I want to see if someone can beat me. I got like,
losers. This is basic.
Sorry, just saying. Basic. Someone, no disrespect to this person, but they returned a cucumber.
Oh.
And it was $1.19. I return a cucumber like every Tuesday, I'm just kidding. But like, no. Someone returned a very large custom walnut island countertop. It arrived warped and damaged, as you should have.
Yeah.
Someone else said, I'm curious about what people could have returned but didn't. Someone returned some garage sale signs that they bought but didn't end up using. Okay, here's the craziest thing I've returned. A used period cup. Like, those like diva cups?
I do. I'm familiar. I had a bad experience. Okay. Never again.
Okay. Well, did you return it after that bad experience?
I absolutely did not.
You should have. Because here's the deal. I'm not going to get into the details of this, but I'm just going to say it was a used period cup. It was marketed as for beginners, and it did not work for beginners, okay?
Yeah.
And
yikes.
I went to Target. It was like $35 from Target. Greg was like, sort of like, what? You're going to, and I was like, yeah, let's do this, dude. And then if it was very honest, I was like, look, said it was for beginners. I went into, more detail than this lady probably wanted to hear. And she was like, cool. She doesn't care. She just starts ringing it up to return. And then sort of towards the end, I just clarify. I go, you're not going to put that back on the shelf, right? Because you definitely shouldn't. And she goes, oh, no. I'm putting, because I just wanted to clarify. She understood this was a used, attemptedly used period cup.
I'm sure there's a law about that.
Yeah. And so, I just wanted to, I'm just trying to be a discerning customer.
Right, a discerning returner.
A discerning returner.
I appreciate that.
And so anyways, no questions asked. She just returns it, right? As she should. It was marketed in a way. A lot of that stuff gets returned to vendor, by the way.
Yeah.
Like RTV. I used to work at Home Depot. We had a whole RTV bucket. It goes back to the vendor. It's their problem.
That makes sense.
It's not even Target's problem. And I don't know how it works these days because that was like back in the 90s when I was, just a wee baby. But the other thing is, like, a few weeks later, Greg bought this, like, $15 deodorant from Target and was like, really, it didn't work. And he's not even, like, as stinky and sweaty as I am. And he just was like, it says it lasts 72 hours. He's like, it didn't even last, like, 8 hours. And so I was like, dude, you should return that. That was, like, much more expensive than the average deodorant anyways because it was marketed as some, one of those, like, special fancy kinds. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And he, like, takes it back. And, the guy doesn't even, these guys don't care half the time, right? He's just like, it didn't work. And the guy kind of made a joke and was like, didn't last 72 hours. And Greg was like, yeah, it didn't last 6 hours. And the guy was like, good to know. And like returned it and gave him his money back. It was like a 1-minute interaction. My advice is just don't be afraid. Like you might think if you bought something and it was marketed to you a certain way and it did not deliver upon its brand promise, you have the right to return that product within the, policies of that store. So like Target has a 90-day return policy.
I always think, and I know that this isn't true, but I always think that I need to go in with a justification, and I will literally, it triggers my social anxiety. So I will practice what I'm saying in my head, like what I'm going to say, like, oh, I really wanted this, but then I didn't end up needing it and it's still in the package and I didn't use it or whatever. And then you don't even get a chance to get those words out. They're just like, okay, I got it. Thanks.
They're done.
Bye.
Yeah. You got your credit card. Yeah. So there's some episode of Friends on Fire where Mike and I talked about this. And, I'm like long-winded. I share a lot of context. And so I also want to give them my life story. I want to let them know, like, step by step what happened with the period cup. Yeah. And they, like, don't want to hear it. That's a terrible example,
Well,
they don't care. 90% of the time, they don't care. They just want a, like, firm, like, hey, I bought this. It didn't work. I'd like to return it, please. Here's my receipt.
Maybe they need a reason to punch into the screen. Like, oh, why are you returning it, right? But they're not
sometimes it pops
you.
up on the screen. Yeah. That reason, like at Target, the reason pops up on the screen. They don't even want to hear it. They just want you to push the button.
Interesting. Yeah. Every time I get nervous about returning something, it's literally fine.
I think that's the biggest thing is like, don't be afraid. I like to take dead plants back to Home Depot. They have like a, 365-day plant policy.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked what plants I can kill in 365 days. So
I think I might actually be able to beat you in how fast I can kill plants. I'm not good. I'm good at other things, but
yes, you are good at many other things.
Yeah, like don't stress about it. Also, the other thing too is that they're just going to say yes or they're going to say no. I mean, maybe if you try to return a used toilet part 10 years later, the lady at Ace is going to roll her eyes at you, but usually they're just going to say yes or they're going to say no. It's not like a judgmental. They're not going to put your name's not going to go on a board. You're not going to get blacklisted for the one thing that you tried to return past the window.
Yes. And like, okay, yesterday I was at Ace Hardware again, returning some things from the day I was there with the toilet guy that was trying to return stuff. And I just needed to return like $4 and some parts that I bought that I didn't end up using for a project. And I like didn't have my receipt, but I knew I had it at home. I just forgot it. And she was like having to call a manager. There was a line behind me. And I was like, you know what? I'm like real close to this place. So I was like, you know what? I'll come back with my receipt. Don't worry about it. I don't want to hold things up. Yeah. It was like getting embarrassing. And it was like for $3. And I was like, I'm going to get out of here.
Oh, no.
And so, like you said, the worst thing that you could do is just like be like, oh, never mind. I'm good. Yeah. I'm going to, do this another time.
They'll just say no. I was trying to take some leggings. I I don't know, 1,000 pairs of Lululemon leggings. And I all of a sudden I had a couple that got a hole right on the seam in the gusset. And I tried to return.
I learned what a gusset was from you.
I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that. And
The gusset's
you're welcome.
where you put the period cup. It's where you put the period cup in the gusset.
That's not entirely right? It's the same neighborhood.
Okay, I just meant in that zone, in that region. I mean, like literally in the gusset.
Maybe those holes in my leggings were a feature, not a bug.
Well, this might explain why the period cup didn't work because I didn't realize where it went. So,
anyways, but I went in and I had Googled it a million times, like because I was hoping they would just repair them because I was hoping that they would send them off because they do free hems, and so I thought maybe they'll just send them to the same place, they'll repair the hole and give them back to me. And the woman couldn't have been nicer, but she said no. She said, "Have you had them longer than a year?" I said, "Yes, I've had them for several years."
10.
No, probably not 10, but I don't know.
I've had some of my leggings for that long.
The warranty on $100 leggings should be longer than a year.
I agree. I mean, I had that Lululemon shirt with a bunch of holes.
I know.
In it,
you
and, luckily, it was within
me.
A year.
I feel like I never would have even tried, but you're my return influencer, and you went in and they fixed it or replaced it or whatever.
They gave me a new shirt.
Yeah.
Don't you at least feel good that you tried, though? You're like, well, at least I know definitively. You're not going to wonder for the rest of your life.
They had been sitting on a shelf for months. So now I think I'm going to try to just take them to my own tailor. I don't mind even paying. I just want it. It feels wasteful to. Well, that's what I said to the lady. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Just throw them away? She said, try taking them to Nordstrom, which felt like a weird suggestion. I was like, well, I didn't buy them there.
Ironically, you had just left Nordstrom.
Yeah,
too.
I know. Well, I wasn't going to ask them to fix my old leggings. That felt weird. All right. Anyways.
Okay. So the other things, the more obvious things to make your return process smooth is just be timely. Don't wait forever, right? The sooner you return something, the better. Have your receipt on you. I knew I had that receipt to that Ace thing and I just it was on the counter at home.
Yeah.
But just have your receipt, have the packaging it came in, have the tags on things. I've even, things where my kids will cut off the plastic tag, but I still have the tag. And so I'll bring it back with all the parts as best as I can put them back together. And that usually works. It depends on, what it is. And also be nice.
Oh
be
my God,
kind.
100%.
Don't be a jerk. You don't need to give them your life story like we discussed, but just be a nice person.
Underline, bold, all caps. Just
start with that. Yes.
Be kind. Oh, you can also, one other way, this is I think maybe an interesting tip that not everyone does, but this works for me. And under the heading of being organized, I will create a special line item in my budget in Monarch Money of needs to be returned. And then that way that money lives there and it just lives there until I return it. And then the return sort of cancels out the money that I've spent. And so it stares at me in Monarch Money and says,
yeah,
you gotta go make your return.
That's a good idea. I do that on my to-do list, but I like doing it in your expenses.
Yeah. It'll shame me. How are you at when you go into the store to return stuff? What's your batting average on not buying new stuff while you're there?
Well, last night I went to Dick's Sporting Goods to return a shirt that was $35 that was Kate's, and I was with Kate, unfortunately. And so, we had a fun time.
Unfortunately.
I meant unfortunately because if it was just me, I would have returned the shirt and I would have got my $35 back. But I was with her, so I returned the shirt and spent $85, including the $35 back off because it was all in that transaction. So it was an expensive return process, but it was actually things she needed and that I had told her I would buy. So it was not impulse purchases, I'll put it that way.
That makes
sense. Things that have been on her list that are, stuff she needs and will use. But yeah, I think in general, it's good to be careful that the goal of a return, one of the many joys we discussed you get from it is some money back.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's nothing you really need, be careful about going in to make a return and then making a bunch of impulse buys, which negate the return, and then maybe just start the process all over again because you kind of bought a bunch of new things and then a week later you change your mind, then you go back in. You want to stop the cycle. And you just got all these dresses from Nordstrom, you might want to disengage with Nordstrom for a while. You don't want to keep sending yourself to Nordstrom every week.
Well, I made a tactical error because I actually have pretty good self-control in Nordstrom because things at Nordstrom are pretty expensive. But Nordstrom Rack is full of impulse buys. They have that whole section that you walk through to get to a register that's just lip gloss and a phone charger and a Coke and all
and popcorn,
exactly.
Just all sorts of things from food to
and that's part of I know that you love
that's the plan
to talk about marketing tactics and like ways that companies try to manipulate you to get you to spend more money. And so I was thinking about you every time I go into a store, like a lot of things on Amazon, you can return it at Whole Foods, you can return it at a Kohl's. And the reason that those stores offer up their retail locations as return centers is because they know that you are very likely to spend money when you were in the store. If you have to walk into a Kohl's to return something, you might also buy a pair of earrings while you're there.
Yes.
So just be careful. I always hear my little inner Maggie Tucker in my head going, that's how they get you.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Be a discerning customer.
Before we get to some like final actionable tips, I will say if you run into issues with returns, don't be afraid to speak up and advocate for yourself. You sometimes will need to go back and forth with someone. Sometimes you're dealing with someone online and you can ask for something. So I'll give you a very good example. So Kate had this backpack last year for school. It was a Vera Bradley backpack she wanted. It was like $100, but I bought it on sale. And then the strap broke, like the plastic piece. It was like a pretty important piece. You can't carry a backpack without a strap.
That connects the two, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like within a year, it didn't even make it the whole school year. I send them a picture. I look at their policy. I send them a picture. We have a little back and forth, and they're very quickly, they give me a full refund back to my card for the amount I spent on that backpack. But then I went back to them and I was like, I really appreciate the refund. This was via email. I was like, thank you so much for the refund. It was so quick and painless. All I had to do was send some pictures. But I was like, I bought this backpack on sale. So you just gave me $97 back, but it was a $120 backpack. So if I want to buy it now, this doesn't cover it. And so then they returned the money to the original thing was they sent me store credit. And so I was like, well, this store credit's not going to get me a new backpack. So then when I pushed back on that, they fully refunded my initial order. So now I had like $200 worth. I had store credit for $97 and I had the money back. So again, I'm not trying to like game the systems. Like I feel like I got more from them than I should have. But I did push back on like their initial resolution to me felt a little unfair because all I wanted was that same backpack again.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it with what they had initially done.
That makes sense.
And so I think it's just a reminder of some things are negotiable and you do need to advocate for your rights. And sometimes like in that toilet guy, that guy in Ace Hardware, like you need to go back to the manufacturer, not the retailer.
Yes.
And so I think just remember that if you run into issues, you can push back and you might need to kind of fight for your rights at different times.
You can always ask. It never hurts. The worst they can do is say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sometimes feels like terrible. It gives you anxiety, but it won't kill you.
Only if you're like holding up a line and it's embarrassing.
Oh gosh. No, never.
Let's wrap this up and make this actionable.
Okay.
I think, a few like final tips to remind people of things. One is just like maybe go around your house and like look for all these go on a return hunt and look for all these things that you have never worn, that you just bought, that you changed your mind about, that you have buyer's remorse, that is just, something you needed to return, you haven't done it yet. And then in the future, commit to keep all your returns in one place. Like you have a returns chair, Liz.
Mm-hmm.
I keep all my tags in one place. When I cut tags off something, I put them all in a drawer temporarily. Every now and then I'll go through it and kind of like throw stuff away that is now, something I've kept and committed to. And I also put stuff on my to-do list. So I love the way you put it in Monarch. I put it on my to-do list so I remember like, oh, I need to return this shirt to Dick's Sporting Goods. I need to, take this stuff back to Ace Hardware. I also keep stuff in my car so that when I am out and about, unless it's like worth a ton of money, but like on all these little things, I just like put them in my car. So when I happen to be near that store, I hopefully remember. I don't always, but sometimes I remember. And then I can more efficiently do a return.
That's a good idea.
Hey, I think we've done this, Liz.
I think we did it. Wow. I feel like I want to, if I was listening to this podcast with my little headphones in, I'd start walking around my house right now.
Doing a return hunt.
Exactly.
It's like an Easter egg hunt, but it's a return hunt.
I love it.
It might involve money at the end, like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
It really does feel, it's just so satisfying with when I used Mint or when I used Monarch, I would return something and then go home and hit refresh on the app and try to see the credit right away. It's like getting paid. It's so nice.
Well, actually, that's a good tip is actually make sure the return went through because it normally takes a day or two.
Yes.
But I don't think I've ever had something like not go through.
No, I haven't either. I guess I'm pretty trusting though. I don't know if I always, I was just returning some things and they kept asking me if I wanted a receipt. And I said, I guess.
I do check because Greg will ask me in Monarch when we're doing expense reviews. And so he'll see it come through. And if he doesn't, he'll mark things as like going to be returned kind of the way you have. And so he'll know that he's expecting a return to come through.
That's smart. Greg's so good. He's all over everything.
I like him all around.
What a catch.
People might forget who he is because he's not on the pod much anymore. But yeah,
I love it when he is.
I feel very lucky. I will not return Greg. That's a great way to like finish this episode. I'm going to keep him forever.
You get to listen to Greg podcasting live in your house every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
On that note, we're going to wrap this up. We did it, Liz.
We really nailed it this morning. Thank you for listening.
We appreciate you listening. Yeah. There is no return policy on this podcast. Actually, there is a money back guarantee, right? So you didn't pay anything. If you don't like it, you can have all your money back. And you do not need to leave us a review. But if you did like it, then you could leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts, or you could leave us a rating on Spotify. We always love it.
We would love that.
And yeah, if you want to share, this is a good episode to share with a friend or family member, and then say like, hey, let's go on send it to one of your good friends and be like, let's go on a return hunt. Let's see who can find the most things to return in our house.
You either have, you can share it with someone. If you have a Maggie in your life who's really good at returns, you can send it to, hey, this made me think of you. Or if you have a Liz in your life who just has the return share that has things sit there for a couple months. Yeah. That would also be a good person to share this with.
Or someone with return anxiety, It's a good person.
Someone who shares new context.
If you have any thoughts or questions, we always love to hear from you. And you can leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370 or hit us up on Instagram. Maybe share with us a fun return story and we'll put it on Instagram.
I would like that.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Love you. Oh, wait, do we say love you? Are we saying love you to each other or to them?
I was saying love you to the listeners, but sorry, did I make it weird?
No, I actually feel like it would be more appropriate to say to me than the listeners. Like, do you know the listeners well enough to say love you? You know me well enough to perhaps say you love me.
I say it at the end of every one of my podcast episodes.
Oh.
Because I just feel like
then it doesn't feel as special now that I thought you said it to me, Liz.
Oh, I do love you, Maggie. You're like one of my favorite people.
I mean, but you love everyone, it sounds like.
Well, not everyone.
We're going to work this out in the next episode, okay? Bye, guys.
Bye.